Hey you, thanks for joining me on my discomfort journey. Today I thought I would try cooking with two foods that I have never cooked with before. One being a radicchio, I think that's how you say it. And this is kind of like a nice purpley veg that you can have raw or cooked. And then I've also got a Tatume squash or a Tatume squash. I'm not really sure how you pronounce it. The tag says it was Tatume, but when I looked it up, it said Tatume with an E instead of an A at the end. So we'll see. It seems like it's kind of like a zucchini. So yeah, I'm gonna try both of these and incorporating them with some other veggies that I want to use up and try to make a meal out of it. So if that interests you, come tag along. So I think I'll try this radicchio first just to see what I think it would be good with. Like, I think it's supposed to be kind of bitter when you have it raw. So we will give this a go. It kind of reminds me of like red cabbage from the look of it. Just get off some of the less nice bits. Okay, so I'm gonna try just like a little piece like this raw. Definitely better. So it's definitely better. I think I'm gonna try dipping it in a couple of different things and just see how it tastes with that. Try cutting this up into some small pieces, and then I'm gonna just try pouring a few things on it and see how they taste with it, just because it's a fun little experiment for kind of figuring out flavors. So this first one I'm gonna try is apple cider vinegar. So we will give that a try. So it's very appley, apple cider vinegar, and I think I cut down a little bit. Would want a little something with the apple cider vinegar to kind of balance that out though. And I'm just gonna try, this is just with lemon juice, just to see how that tastes. That definitely helps. There's still a little bit of bitterness at the end there. And then this is balsamic vinegar. So we'll give that a go. Okay. It just still hits bitter at the end, but the balsamic vinegar was probably my favorite actually. And then I'm gonna try it with like soy aminos, coconut aminos, I guess is what they're called. That was pretty good. That was pretty good at masking the bitterness a little bit. So probably soy sauce. These guys are probably tied pretty close. And the apple cider vinegar and the lemon. This was pretty good. Just had a little hint of the bitterness at the end, and then this was quite good. So I'm gonna just make a little sauce here with the four of these things and see if that is any better. So just trying to figure out how much of everything is in there already. A little drizzle more of you. Just to make sure we've got a bit of everything. A bit of the soy aminos, the apple, and the lemon. Okay, we're gonna just mix it up with the radicchio. I'm hopefully saying that right. Yeah, so that was pretty good. I would probably tweak the proportions of the different things in here, but this reminds me of like a very healthy, oil-free dressing kind of has that vibe. Does a pretty good job of masking the bitterness. So I wouldn't put just one thing on it. I would put a combination of things if you were putting it into a salad. I think I am going to try it more like roasted in the oven rather than having it raw, but I did want to try it raw and see how I can kind of modify it. If I was trying to, say, make some of it one way and some of it raw, I would probably try and put it into a salad and make some kind of a nice sauce with it. So just thought I'd show that option as well. So I've just cut it up very similar to red cabbage looking. I'm gonna cut this in half here just to kind of see what it looks like on the inside. Ooh, very smooth cutting. Like I didn't think it would be this soft on the inside. Very zucchini-like in the inside, I would say. So might be able to like scoop it out. Let's give that a try. Don't love the scoop out as of right now, but just thought I would try it. Yeah, not recommended. Yeah, I don't think you'd want to eat the outside. Probably, I'm gonna guess it cooks very similar to zucchini just by feeling it. So I feel like this, what I might try is, I've got some tomato and onion, so I might try kind of doing like a saucy thing with this. I would say easiest way to get in here is probably peeling it with a knife. No smell to it when you're cutting into it. I didn't really sniff this either. No smell. These like things to try. I'm usually buying them when they're at like a store where the produce is a lot cheaper. So I'm not taking a huge risk with them. And I'd advise that like if you want to try different foods, but food is expensive, then I would say like keep an eye out for things being on sale. And then if you do see something that you're like, oh, I've never tried this before, or I've only tried this once in one different way before, then maybe try picking it up and just experimenting a little bit with that when the cost isn't like crazy for you to try a little bit. Yeah, because then, it's fun, but it's not as stressful as if you spent like a stupid amount of money on trying something different and you're like, oh my gosh, this is actually terrible and I hate it. And just like, yeah, as long as you kind of play around with it in a way that's like safe, then I think you can kind of grow from it without spending a crap ton of money. Because experimenting's fun, but experimenting and hating everything you try and then regretting spending money is not so fun. The other thing I would say for that is like try like with foods that like if you're going to try experimenting to like do it when you're doing some fridge clean out and it's something that you might have thrown out anyways, but you can use up. Like those are great times to play around with things. And that's one of the reasons why I'm making this video and hopefully doing more videos kind of like this is I like to think about like how do we minimize food waste. And I think one of those ways is like learning how to make things in different ways and also just like honing some of our cooking skills in terms of blending flavors and just knowing when certain things will probably taste okay. And it takes some time. Like you have to experiment to get there. But I think when you've kind of figured things out, you can reduce food waste just by being more comfortable with food in general and preparing it. So yeah, it's kind of fun to try these things, and it's also good for me to try different things, but also to show that like we can make things that are outside of our normal and still make them taste good, hopefully, and find ways to adapt with our cooking. So I've decided that we're gonna do a saucy thing with tomato, like a tomatoey garlic onion for the squash, and then I'm going to try roasting the other thing. I forgot the name of it. I was gonna make them this big. I think I'm gonna cut them half that, so they're like this, and then I'm just gonna put them with onion, carrots, peppers, and some spices. So we're gonna do that. Some olive oil as well in there. Maybe some balsamic. So yeah, I think like I said, I was gonna kind of flavor it up a little bit. I'm gonna make some potatoes that I'm just going to cook separately. It's always good to have a little bit of a safety net when you're making stuff, to just have some stuff you know will be to your taste. So like the potatoes, I know I've had potatoes, and I know I've made potatoes. So I can then kind of just make it work. So yeah, I'm going to put just a little bit of glug on this soy sauce substitute, some balsamic in there, and then I'm also going to put some olive oil. Just a little bit on there. I'm going to put a little bit of garlic. I peeled some. I was going to maybe smush it in, but I think I'm going to put like kind of bigger chunks, because that's kind of the vibe of this right now. And then spices, I think I'm going to do maybe lemon pepper and like some rosemary. Yeah, maybe some rosemary. I usually do not measure with a spoon, but just so that I can kind of refer back if I do like this. So, we're gonna call that like 3/4 teaspoon of lemon pepper, and probably a whole teaspoon of rosemary. I'm also gonna just cut this piece because it looks really big. Mix this up. At 425, I'm probably I'm gonna guess like 20-30 minutes for this, but I'll keep an eye on it. I've got potatoes. I just put a bit of olive oil in there, and then I'm gonna make these ones pretty simple and just do some Old Chicago steak spice on there. Just kind of sprinkling it in. Again, not measuring. Just have things a little coated, and we'll pop them into the oven. So what I like to use is these crisper baskets. That way the distribution of the air is a lot better, or the heat is a lot better. So they tend to get nice and crispy on here. Usually I'll put a cruddy tray underneath just to catch any kind of drippings. Because I have something in the oven already, might be okay, but just to transfer it, I will use this. So I've got my squash things that I'm gonna play with. So I think I'm gonna do the onions first, then some garlic, and the tomato probably, and then like tomato paste, and then add this to kind of let it simmer in once I've got enough tomato. So I've got tomato paste and then some cut up tomato to use. I may end up using like a jar of tomato if I feel like it needs a little bit more. I'm probably gonna try and use this up to put into it milk as well. I've also got some soup kind of stuff that I made a few days ago that I may end up putting a little bit in there just to use less oil when I'm cooking, use a little less water when I'm cooking, add a little bit more flavor. So we will see how that goes. So I've got this heating up at kind of a medium-high heat. Yeah, you know what? We had olive oil in two things, so I'm gonna just put my onion in here with some water. I only have half an onion. I think I might put another full onion just because I actually have a lot of this squash. Got a little bit of 2-for-1 action going on here. Whew. I might need a bigger saucepan. We'll keep this on for now. I was thinking I could do without this big boy, but I think I'm going to use that instead. Got my timer just went to turn the potatoes, but I'm just going to try. This was in my the roasted stuff. I put it back in, but I'm just going to try it. Still really bitter. Not crazy on that right now. We're going to add our garlic to here. Two, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 8 cloves of garlic, which sounds like a lot, but they're not all very big. I think I'm just gonna add the tomato now, just so it kind of has time to do its thing. I would maybe do the roasted veggies like 25 degrees lower, but because I was cooking the potatoes, I didn't. So we'll see. This tomato paste, just because I want it to be fairly tomatoey. It's better bitterness-wise. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of maple syrup just to bring a little bit of sweetness into there. Just like a little bit more than the maple syrup, I guess. So I pulled out the Radicchio stuff just to give it a try now. Give it a little bit of a mix. Part of me is like, do I want to maybe add some miso to it? I don't know if that would help it. Still bitter. I don't know if like there's bits that are less bitter than others. Like if I get this little skinny bit. It's not terrible, but it does have that bitterness still. So keep it cooking a little longer, see if that helps it. I don't know what else to add to it. The squash. So let's had a minute to cool down. It's pretty nice. Quite zucchini-y. Yeah, I think that's like pretty much done actually. So I'll add these into this and then give it a little bit of a very low heat time to kind of melt in there, and then I think that's going to be done. More of this provolone style cheese too that I will also put into there. So it's been in there for a bit. Kind of lost track. I guess it's been over half an hour for sure. Keeping in mind things usually take a little longer when you've got like 2 things in there. So like the potatoes, usually they cook fine within 30 minutes. It's taking a little bit longer just because we've got that other thing in there too. Everything else is good, but still got that bitterness. Still got that bitterness. Squash is good. May have overcooked it a tiny bit, but tastes good. It probably also tastes good if you kind of like mushed it up. But yeah, that I'm quite okay with. Lies. I'm gonna put a little bit of onion powder, basil, just dried. Gonna refill some of these. We're gonna do some black pepper. Again, I forget to measure because that is not my jam. Bit of paprika. Yeah. Put that in there and give it a mixy mix. Yeah, I'm good with that. Trying to think of like what this would be good with. Maybe a pasta. If you put some noodles and that as like a sauce, cut up the squash a little bit smaller. Quite good. The squash is ready. This is still like, it's not bad, but the carrots still need a little bit of time. But it's still a little bitter. Gonna add maybe a little bit of lemon and a little bit more soy sauce. Maybe. Gonna try it, mixing that up and see how that tastes, and then put it in for a little bit longer. It's not bad though, like it's getting closer to like the bitterness of maybe like a bok choy kind of thing than as bitter as it was before. And like you don't get hit with bitterness right away, it kind of hits you later in the bite. Oh yeah, I think that's better. Yeah, so a few more minutes for the carrots and then I think we should be good. So I've got the potatoes with the zucchini on top, or not the zucchini, the squash. It's basically zucchini with nicer texture.
It actually is.
I like it. To me, it's like, I made it kind of trying to be inspired by zucchini boats that my friend and I used to make with like tomato sauce. Was it like was it salsa? Yeah, salsa and cheese and like zucchini, and you melt it all in the oven. So very similar taste-wise, with like a nicer eating experience, because the rubberiness of zucchini is not something I love. What do you think?
I've just been munching on this the entire time. Oh, it's absolutely great. I love it.
And then this is the radicchio. So again, I may be saying this wrong, but whatever. It's not bad.
I'd like this better without it.
Yeah, I was gonna, like, I don't think I would pick this out this way again. I don't know what else I would want to make with it. Too bitter.
That was a bitter piece.
Oh, yeah. So the radicchio, edible. I'm not gonna not eat it, but the whole thing that I made with it is probably better without the radicchio. But one win, one not complete fail.
If you mask it with this, it's actually quite nice.
Oh yeah, okay. Let's try that. So I've added some of the tomato sauce from the squash
A little better.
That helps it. So I usually make one bowl things, but I was like, no, I don't know about all these things in one bowl. I think it's just going to become all these things in one bowl, and it tastes way better. So I could have just put them all together to start with, but that's okay. Yeah, I think that's the way to do it, eh?
Yeah.
Now it's good.
Yeah.
Now I don't mind the radicchio. So, tomato, maybe your best friend with radicchio. Yeah. So overall, that just made the radicchio from like meh to like wouldn't mind it. Yeah.